What do it be, nerds and virgins? Welcome back to another dumbass video we do here. Today we will be looking at all my customs and fix-up figures. Difference between a custom and a fix-up, before someone asks. A fix-up to me is just something, doing something really simple. It is customizing, but to me it's just overly simple where it's like, oh, I swapped the head onto this figure, or I gave it these accessories that originally didn't come with it, and it makes the figure look better, but at the end of the day I didn't really do all that crazy much to it. To me, that's a fix-up. Versus a custom is obviously where you go the extra mile. Maybe you paint some things, maybe you really have to get a whole lot of parts from people, and you gotta order parts as far as 3D printed heads or things like that, or maybe you 3D print your own head and you customize it, you painted it and all of that. To me, that's a custom, But besides that, man, let's actually get into all my customs and stuff. Obviously, first up, we have this custom Motu Vegeta figure, and basically with this figure, I actually made him one of the only ones in my collection that I personally customized. What I did basically was grabbed a Jax figure, I popped the head off of it, grabbed a Masters of WWE Ultimate Warrior, and then I grabbed a Masters of WWE NWO Macho Man, swapped the boots onto the Ultimate Warrior, got the armor from a knockoff statue. Bought these clothes from basically a guy on eBay who sells 1/12 clothes that is manufactured in China, basically. Dude was super cool. But yeah, I just put it on. I cut it down because it was too long, because these were meant for 1/12, and obviously these are just somewhat of a smaller scale. And I basically just put all that together. I also grabbed these hands from a Elite Rey Mysterio, which, looking back, I will probably end up using different hands, because the thing I like is that these are swappable because of the figure that I used. But the thing that I dislike, and I'll show you what I mean by that, what I mean by why I dislike it, is these hands are rather... The fist compared to the open hand is way too much of a significant bigger difference as far as size. It doesn't make sense. And I understand that this hand's going to appear bigger because, he has an open palm, but compared to this one, it still doesn't make much sense. It looks like a completely different hand. So eventually I'm probably going to get another figure from Mattel to use for his fist, for the swappable when I do use him for stop motions and stuff. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how he turned out. I do really like him. I like the blood that I put all over him. I also did give him a black wash, and obviously with some paint blood. But yeah, pretty happy with how this dude turned out. I think he's pretty cool. But yeah, let's get to the next figure. So for this next figure, this head I actually bought for dude. I forget his name exactly, but I will put his Instagram on screen, and I will probably tag it in the links in the description, because this dude makes really good quality work. Also, shout out to Mr. Home Arcade, because he was the person who posted about him, of how I found out about him, and I saw this head scan and instantly just really wanted it. And besides that though, I gave this figure a black wash, obviously swapped the head. With the shield, sorry, I basically just took a knife and dug some actual claws into it, and then gave it a black wash to give it that effect like it's been battle damaged and stuff. So that's how I did that. Obviously, like I said, I give the body a black wash to really make the muscles pop out more. As far as the boots go, I grabbed some fur from Hobby Lobby and just glued it on with some fabric glue. I got this accessories from this little knife thing. Right here, and the sword off of a guy off of Etsy. I forget the guy's shop, but I will put it up on screen. And same thing, I'll link it in the description. And the cape is actually from a McFarlane. I forget the dude's name, but he's basically like the original He-Man. It was the black He-Man, basically. And essentially, I bought the figure because I thought it was pretty cool, and I saw it for like $5. But it had really crappy articulation, and I basically just took the cape and gave it to this He-Man because in my story, this He-Man is like the general to all my good guys. Because if you've seen my display before, it's basically all my good guys versus all my bad guys in this scaling of 5.5, mixed in with a couple other lines that I think just mix in pretty well. And yeah, so I thought this turned out really cool. I think it looks really cool. Still has the same articulation. Also, one thing I will be doing to this figure when I do eventually find this is when eventually I want to get that Stranger Things, He-Man 2-pack with the I forget what the guy's name is, whatever the like tentacle guy's name is. But basically that He-Man comes with a really cool shield with like a demon head face on it. I'm gonna replacing this shield that I have with that one and doing the same thing how I did it here with, you know, knifing it and then giving it a black wash. I'll probably end up replacing that shield with that one, or this shield with that one. So thought that'd be really cool. Obviously, like I said, he's got his little knife. Still has this little thing on the back to put his sword in, but because of the cape, you know, it kind of blocks it. But yeah, and the main reason I glued the fur to the boot, was because there was like a fur plastic here, or it was supposed to look like fur, but it didn't match up with this. So I tried to get some fur that matched up with Hobby Lobby. Obviously, it isn't perfect as far as the color or even like the material goes, but I think it looks good enough where I'm happy with it. But yeah, thought this guy turned out pretty cool. Bam! Obviously, we have my custom Motu style Mike Tyson here. All I basically did, this is another one that I actually made myself. All I basically did was I grabbed the Sunman figure from the Motu Origins line. I grabbed my knockoff Mike Tyson Storm collectible figure. If you didn't know, I had a knockoff for the longest time of a Storms collectible that I was using for my original Alpha Male stop motions. If you've been around the channel for long enough, those are basically just stop motions I did of just people fighting each other, basically, of being who's going to be the top dog, essentially. And Mike Tyson was basically the reigning champion of it, essentially. And like I said, I took that old knockoff figure that I had, and I actually grabbed the shorts from it, glued it onto this. I should have, looking back, sewn it, would have probably been a bit better. And I grabbed the gloves and I just kind of threw them onto the arms here. I didn't glue them or anything. They actually just pop off if I really want them to, as you can see. Took an old Jack's gold chain, and I did buy an actual Storms collectible Mike Tyson, and one of the extra heads that it came with was this one, and I thought this one was just a whole lot cooler considering the gold teeth. As you can see, he's got like gold teeth in there, and I thought that would match with the chain. So I actually just took that head and popped it onto over here. And with the boots, I just painted them black. I should have really just bought a figure with black boots. I still very much can. And if you're wondering why I'm going to use the Storm collectible boots from the knockoff figure, it's because during those stop motions, because it was a knockoff, I somewhat struggled with the figure. And one of the things I did just to make it a bit easier on me was glue the boots into that knockoff, into the actual legs. So it was virtually impossible for me to take those off to put them onto this figure. Also, I don't think because of the thickness of this leg, the feet from over there would match with this very much anyways. But yeah, this is the Tyson figure here. I think he turned out pretty good. And yeah. Some of you may be wondering who the fuck this is. This is Ernest, in case you didn't know who he was. Basically, he was kind of like a Pee Wee Herman, but without the CP stuff that went on with Pee Wee Herman. And essentially, he was just kind of the guy who acted as Ernest. Basically, he was a comedian originally, and eventually he created this character who eventually started to star in commercials. And eventually the character got so big that Disney, I think, actually wanted to do movies about the character, and they produced basically a shit ton of these movies. The actor also voiced Slinky from Toy Story. So yeah, he was just a really cool guy in these movies. real funny, I should say. In the movies, he was kind of a dork, you know. But he was, I like his movies a whole lot. My favorite one is probably Ernest Scared Stupid. If you never watched that, I'd highly recommend that movie. That's like one of those movies you should definitely watch for Halloween. If you're doing like, especially one of those 31 on 31 Street things. But yeah, Ernest is super cool. I really like this figure. Again, I'll link this guy's eBay because that's where he sells these guys at. That's where I bought mine at. Only unfortunate part is if you want this exact head scan with that little face that he's doing, you have to pay a little bit more. I ended up having to pay the guy a little bit more to give me this head. He did come with quite a few accessories as well. I just don't have them out, and I don't feel like going and getting them out. But yeah, he's a pretty cool figure. He doesn't have much articulation. His arms can move up and like this, but that's just because they're magnetic. So, you know, don't be surprised when you get in, he's in pieces. Yeah, he's just magnetic, as you can see. You know, his parts come on and off relatively easily, obviously. Obviously, I feel like maybe some of the glue is starting to stick a little bit over time. But yeah, I think he's a really cool figure. He goes up in my Motu display. And just so you guys know as well, he is a bit bigger than the usual Motu figures. As you can see, this is like a usual Origins line figure, and he is quite a bit larger. So Ernest is a tall guy in the movies and in real life. I think he was. May he rest in peace, because he has passed away, unfortunately. But yeah, I think he's a really cool figure, and if you want something of this guy in your collection, since there really isn't much besides that talking Ernest doll, and you don't feel like hawking over $300-400 fucking dollars for one of those, this is definitely a good kind of, I guess, replacement for it, because this is around $100, and you might be thinking, wow, that's pricey. It is, but it's definitely worth it in my opinion. It looks amazing. I love the fact that it's in the Motu scaling as well. And again, I use it, I pose them up in a way that use it with the use of his articulation that he has. And I think he looks pretty cool with how I have him. But yeah, this guy is really, really cool. Again, all the links for these guys, if I can, if they have links to their eBay stores or to whatever they have, I will try and put them in the description. So links will be in the description if you want to get your own of one of these guys. But yeah. Obviously, this is a Motu style Tupac. This was inspired by Trap Toys, from what I know. And if you don't know who Trap Toys is, basically he is someone who makes custom figures of rappers many of the times. He's the person that you probably know. He is most known for probably his Robopac figure that he's done. And yeah, I mean, he makes some really cool things like that. This isn't from him exactly. This was inspired by him, I know that for sure. But essentially, I bought this figure off of someone off of eBay. The dude I was just talking about with the Ernest also does make 3D renderings of this figure. He will send it to you, but it's unpainted. The dude who I bought this from actually had painted it with the with his skin tone, the bandana, and like, you know, his pants and stuff, and his gold on him. The gun I painted myself. I just painted it gold and added this little, you know, gun blast effect. And that's how I have it displayed. Obviously, him shooting Kevin Nash in the face. This Death Row chain is a custom piece I got from someone off of eBay as well. Essentially, these are meant for 12-inch or 1/6 figures. So for much larger figures, but I figure in Motu things in like the Motu universe are very much exaggerated and oversized. So I thought it would fit in pretty well. These tattoos I got from someone, I forget exactly. But the tattoos are someone else's things that I bought. I think it was... the eBay store is called Tattoo something. I'll try and put his stuff up, and again link him in the description as well. But I used his tattoos and put them across. The tattoo on the back, this big cross, is actually was actually molded onto it. As you can see, I just painted it in black. Originally I was gonna try and go around it, because if you've ever seen Pac's actual tattoo, it isn't filled in like that. It's more like two just lines going. I'll try and put it up on screen to show you guys what I mean. Instead of trying to sit here and explain it to y'all. So it is a little bit inaccurate, but it was easier just to paint it in black than it was to do how it is shown on screen, like I said. And yeah, I think he looks pretty cool. There's certain issues with him. His arm's been broken off before. As you can see over here, you can kind of see the line going across. And because of that, obviously I glued it back on. So not the most it's kind of brittle plastic, I guess is what I'll say, in the aspect where I'm very scared to drop this figure. He's accidentally fallen quite a few times, just because my room is kind of a mess at times. But yeah, this figure is really, really cool. If you know anything about me, I should say, I'm a huge Pac fan, so this thing was an essential piece for me, especially, and especially to go in that display for me was really cool and really special, because that whole Motu display is supposed to be just a mix of things that I love personally. And being able to put a Pac figure there to represent just rap, the rap genre in general of my music taste and stuff, is really, really cool. So yeah, let's move on to the next figure though. Blah!
約1年ぐらい経ちました。
So obviously you guys are probably wondering what these guys are. These are Muscle Mutt custom Muscle Mutts. And you're probably wondering what the fuck is a Muscle Mutt. Essentially, Muscle Mutts were knockoff of a toy line called Street Sharks. They were actually made by the same company who made them, but I think they did it behind basically, I don't know who was in charge of the Street Shark line. They did it behind their back. And eventually they told them to shut it down, that they can't do that. And some of the figures got out there, but they're very pricey and very valuable. But the person who made these are obviously customs. I'm not sure if he got a hold of the molds or something, and he was able to make glow-in-the-dark versions of them. And I think these are super awesome. These are heavily priced though. From what I paid, they were like $200 each. But with the weights of them and the glow feature of them, especially with how long the glow feature actually lasts, if they soak in enough sunlight and light in general, they last quite a bit long time. Excuse me. And yeah, again, I'll throw the guy's eBay up on screen. And I did debate on painting these guys, but eventually I decided against it because I came up with my own little storyline. To me, if you guys don't know the Masters Universe like story, there's a figure that's called Scareglow, and it's the ghost of Skeletor, meaning that not that Skeletor died and became a ghost, but that he's the ghost that, like, I guess helped Skeletor out. So to me, essentially, I'm not sure how accurate this is to the Master Universe lore. I'm just using this as my lore when I go through my own storylines and stuff that I make in my own head. Essentially, to me, Scareglow has command over ghosts, and these guys essentially, to me, were essentially Street Shark villains, and that Dr. Paranoid made. If you don't know who Dr. Paranoid is, he's basically just the Street Shark villain who made the Street Sharks into the Street Sharks because they were just normal people. But he basically made these two guys into these, really huge dog monsters. And originally they were people, but they got into a fight with the Street Sharks, and one way or the other, the Street Sharks accidentally killed these guys, because Street Sharks obviously don't kill people. Well, not obviously, but in the cartoon they didn't kill people, so. But these two accidentally died, and essentially Scareglow got their ghost, and now has recruited them to his evil army alongside Scarecrow, Jesus Christ, alongside Skeletor, and Skeletor's leading this whole giant evil force, and they are obviously soldiers in that force. So yeah, that's my whole little storyline with them. I thought it was pretty cool, and yeah, I think these figures are really, really dope. They don't have too much articulation. The arms can move up and down, but it's rather stiff. They have a little bit of waist, no head articulation, the mouths don't open or anything. And same thing with this one, the arms move up and down, a little bit of waist, and that's about it. But yeah, these guys are really cool, and let's move on to the next. Yeah, so this custom was made, I think, by a dude called Deathmatch Customs. He has an Instagram, and eBay is where I bought this off of him. And yeah, this is obviously a G.I. Joe custom style Mike Tyson in like a Cobra uniform. I really like how he put the Cobra design on the actual glove. I really love this head scan. I had seen this head scan before. Oops, sorry for moving the camera there, folks. I've seen this head scan before of like the 3D renders of like people sell on eBay that you can paint yourself, but seeing it painted really brings it to life. I love the fact he painted the teeth gold and he made the eyes red. That really makes him look evil. I really love the overall the cartoon look of the freaking face and the head. Like I said, I love this whole the head scan, I should say, as a whole, because I know this is a custom like 3D printed head scan that's out there. A lot of people sell it obviously just ready to essentially paint. They sell it unpainted and stuff. But yeah, this guy's really dope. And yeah, man, the knife also does come out. Not sure if he painted the knife at all. But yeah, this dude is super dope. I did a whole video about this guy like about a year ago or so. Actually, it's probably been about almost 2 years now since we're already in December. Holy shit, man, time flies by. But yeah, this guy's super dope. Articulation still well the same as well with the usual G.I. Joe stuff. So yeah, man. Pew. Alright, y'all, so as far as this custom goes, or I should say more fix up with this guy. So this is the Mattel 40th anniversary of the He-Man, obviously, of the Masters of the Universe. So essentially what I did with this figure is it's kind of the same thing I did with that other He-Man figure of the 5.5 of the Origins one. I basically bought a head scan off of, I forget the dude's name. Again, his link will be in the Instagram. The link to his Instagram will be in the description, because that's where he mainly sells things off of. I know he uses like PayPal and stuff. But yeah, essentially I bought the head off of him, and then I got the helmet accessory. Originally it was going to go on the other He-Man, but because of the way the hair was, it actually doesn't fit on it, so I ended up putting it on here. But this was also bought from the same dude I got the accessories for the other He-Man for. And the accessories, well, besides the helmet here, the shield is the original shield it came with. I just put some, I just grabbed the knife and kind of put some digs into it to make it look like obviously it's been battle worn, and gave it a black wash. Made it look really cool, I think. The axe I actually painted with like some little paints that are meant for miniatures and stuff. So obviously gave it a bit more of a better metallic look, and gave it a brown handle as well. Thought it would look pretty cool. Same thing for the sword on the back. Honestly, I kind of want to still paint the strap for the sword, obviously, that holds it. But besides that, I think this guy turned out pretty cool. And again, this is more of a fix-up than a custom, because the only thing I really did was paint the accessories and pop the head on. I painted the helmet a little bit too, because it was more of a duller silver, and I thought just painting it with a little bit of the silver paint from same thing here would give it a bit more pop to it, and make it look like they were kind of made of the same material a little bit more. So yeah, so I think this really like this guy. But let's move on to the next one. So obviously, if you couldn't guess, this is a Eminem / Slim Shady custom figure. I bought this from a guy called Antisocial Customs. At least that's what he goes on YouTube. He used to sell a lot of his customs on his eBay. I'm not sure if he still quite does anymore. I'm not even sure if he still posts on his YouTube channel anymore. He was a relatively small channel, much like my own, obviously. And he would post pretty regularly. I know he did like an XX custom and a Little Peep custom. He had a pretty cool channel. I'm not sure, maybe life got busy and he just stopped posting. But overall though, I really love this custom. The only thing I kind of dislike, and it's not even on him, I fucked up to a certain point because I let dust fall on this, and I tried to clean it off one day. And because of, the way I did it, I think it was like with a wet rag, it kind of rubbed some of the paint off. and because of that, you know, obviously there's a little spot there. Same thing with the Jordans to a certain point, because he did paint these guys to actually look like the proper Jordans that Eminem wore in the Slim Shady outfit, and they got some dust on them, and unfortunately, you know, I couldn't really wipe those off without ruining the paint job. You know, so that's the only unfortunate thing about this. But overall, I really love this figure. I love the decals he added, especially with the tattoo of Haley, the D and the 12, and over. Where is the other tattoo? Oh, right here. I really love the Proof tattoo. Obviously, I'm not sure if he had it at this point in the Slim Shady era, because he got this tattoo in memorial of Proof when he unfortunately got killed. And yeah, man, may Proof rest in peace. But overall, this figure is really, really dope. In case you're wondering, like, what body he used, obviously this is like the Daniel Bryan torso. If you don't know what that is, essentially, the Daniel Bryan torso is, so this is a like WWE Mattel figure. This type of torso is just kind of called the Daniel Bryan torso many of the times. The head scan he used, I think, he said in his video, it was a Miz head scan, and he said it just happened to kind of look like Eminem, and he just used it and just kind of sculpted the hair off of it. So yeah, this custom is really, really dope. I don't think I ever did an individual video about this figure, because I've had this figure since basically middle school or freshman year of high school. I've been collecting for quite a while. So yeah, I mean, I've been collecting since before it probably was cool to be collecting, man. I don't like to say that either. To be like, oh yeah, I did it before it was cool, man. Like, overall, I don't think collecting still is seen as a cool thing, but hey, man, I'm getting kind of off topic. Anyways, let's move on to the next figure, man. So for these two figures, obviously these are two Rey Mysterio figures, and you're probably wondering why I put these both together. Well, I wanted to explain it really quickly. These are both fix-ups, and essentially what I did with these guys is these pants, I'm sure many people are curious to where I got these pants at. These pants actually came off of knockoff figures, essentially, and basically what I did was I just grabbed the pants off of these knockoff figures, and I was able to recognize the attires that these were of Rey Mysterio's, and I knew that Mattel had came out with basic figures. And in case you're curious what a basic figure is and what I mean by that, so essentially a basic is a less articulated figure. So as you can see, it has no torso articulation, it has very limited arm articulation, and you know, the legs go like this and this. So this is essentially a basic. An elite, comparable wise, is kind of like this one, where, you know, it has our torso articulation, the legs can come out, you know. So, you know, with these being better, having better articulation, obviously, that's what makes these guys elites. And essentially, though, what I did was grab those pants off of those figures, and I grabbed those basic figures, and I grabbed one of the newer style of elite bodies for Rey Mysterio, and put the pants over it. I didn't even paint over these old attire. As you can see, the old attire still underneath. And I just swapped the arms up, put the head on, and I did that for both of these guys. But for this one, I bought the LWO t-shirt, and I did go the extra mile with this one in getting the boots off of another figure. I think these were off of a Stardust. I just, I forget what it is. I nail polished, removed the designs that they had on this from that figure, and I thought it would be cool to just have an old gold Rey Mysterio attire. And one of the cooler things about using the newer elites is that the tattoos are up to date. So back in the days, I'll show you guys as an example, this figure over here, back in the days, it's more accurate that he would have all of these, but I preferred to him to have all of the new tattoos he's added on. Jesus Christ. And yeah, I think it looks a whole lot cooler that the fact that he has all his tattoos, you know, that are up to date, even though it would be more accurate to have it more like this. One of the other benefits to having these with just, you know, the fabric pants is the fact that With these figures, as you can see over here, because Rey Mysterio always wears those pants, Mattel made them with the pants, and obviously it's a hard mold, so it kind of really limits the articulation with these old figures like this. You know, it's a little bit harder to pose it, as you can kind of see, versus with, you know, because these are with the new style of figures, considering Rey Mysterio's kind of switched up his attire to tighter pants, you know. It makes it a whole lot easier to articulate, to get him to do, you know, all his little moves, you know, his little freaking Hurricane Rana, you know, and all of that stuff. And overall, I just think it looks really cool. I know some people apparently don't like cloth pants like this, or don't like cloth t-shirts or anything like that, because they say it makes it too doll-like. Personally, I really love cloth goods. I have no problem with it. I personally one of those people who would probably prefer cloth goods over plastic goods, so you won't hear any of that complaining from me. Anyways though, let's move on to the next custom / fix up. So as y'all can see, this is a Kane over here, and this is just a very basic fix-up. I basically grabbed the zombie figures that Mattel had put out, and because I really like those figures so much, I only bought the Kane, admittedly, but that's just because when that line came out, I was a little broke, so, you know, I only got the one that I really wanted the most, which was this Kane figure, and essentially, I just torso cracked this guy. If you don't know what that is, it's basically just opening the chest up to be able to put one of these arms on, and then just swap the heads. And one of my favorite parts about this is, you know, being able to pull off the mask and, you know, see all that gory goodness. So yeah, was really cool being able to take that basic zombie figure, I explained the whole basic thing earlier, you know, just pretty much add less articulation, and convert it over to this elite body, especially since this figure on its own, this elite, sorry, was extremely basic as it was. So, you know, being able to convert it to the zombie elite is really, really cool. Really like this, especially if I ever want to make like a thriller, you know, stop motion music video. I got a couple of zombies already in line. But yeah, let's move on to the next figure. So here we have a custom WWE style El Santo. Unfortunately, he's got basic basic articulation, sorry. And I think this was actually supposed to be El Hijo de Santo, which, if you don't know, in wrestling, basically, whenever a wrestler retires, especially when it comes to lucha libres, which is just Hispanic wrestlers who wear masks, many of the times their kids will take the title and basically be called El Hijo, so the son of, and, you know, then there's like, you know, and then even that way they'll pass it on afterwards. So this is actually an El Hijo de Santo custom figure. But yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. I really love the sparkling effects and stuff. I prefer it just to be El Santo. I just pretend it's El Santo, even though it's supposed to be El Hijo, just because I have no issue with El Hijo, but I always think the original is the best. Only issue with it is obviously a little bit of the nose damage there, which is on me. I think it happened when I was moving. I was trying to bag everything individually, but eventually I got tired of just bagging shit, and I just probably threw shit in a bag or in a box, and you know that shit will happen when you're not careful with your figures. So, you know, be wise when it comes to your figures. Obviously, like I said, a little bit more damage over here, which again, on me, not on the customizer at all. But I think this dude also has an eBay. That's where I bought it off of. So if I can find his eBay shop, because unfortunately, after a while of you buying an item, for some reason you cannot reach the eBay's the eBay seller's freaking shop anymore for some apparent reason. But if I can, I'll link his shit in the bio, in the description. But yeah, overall, I really like this figure. Fits in pretty well with my WWE figures. I kind of wish he had better articulation, but I mean, beggars can't be choosers. So this is an Andre the Giant custom, obviously styled in Mattel. I think they used a Jakks body though. Some of you may be questioning why I have an Andre the Giant custom when there's so many figures out there of him. This one is pretty unique in the aspect it's based off an attire that I don't think we'll ever get an official figure of. If we do eventually, it'll be cool. But essentially, this is one of the last real wrestling attires he wore before he ultimately, unfortunately, passed away. Essentially, he wore this when he obviously after he left WWE. You know, he was still wrestling up until basically the point of his unfortunate passing. And he went down to Mexico and he was wrestling for all these different companies. I think CMLL and AAA. And, you know, seeing him in those matches is kind of sad because you can tell how slow he is. But it's also really cool seeing him in those old matches if you ever look them up. Because you can see how much respect the luchadors still have for Andre the Giant. Because even though he's, you know, not as quick and he can't move as much as he used to, they would still very much sell the shit out of anything he did. And it still took, because he was always in like tag matches because he couldn't have a one-on-one match with himself, unfortunately, or not with himself. Well, he couldn't have a one-on-one match with someone else, unfortunately, just because he couldn't sustain himself for too long because of just unfortunately, if you didn't know, Andre basically had some type of disease where he just kept growing. I forget what it's called. I think it's gigantism or something like that. And, you know, because of that, his body was just rapidly deteriorating. And again, just to see that, you know, it's kind of sad seeing him like that, but the respect that the luchadors were still giving him because, you know, they were selling the shit out of whatever he did. And even the times when they were like getting rid of him in the match or, you know, subduing him, it was always through a really creative way where it still really sold the fact that Andre was this big hulking menace. Like in one of the matches, it took 3 people to drop kick him so he would fall into like the ropes and like just kind of get caught in it so they could pin another guy that was supposedly, you know, supposed to be on his tag team, you know. So again, kind of a sad, you know, thing that, you know, obviously this is one of the last wrestling attires he's ever wore. But they did a very excellent job on capturing his face around this time as well. If you ever watch old footage of it, as I said, you know, look up these matches. He definitely looked like this, especially with the hair. Very much did droop down like that. And the red attire as well is really, really cool. Really love the red as well. I don't know why, but I really love the red attire on Andre. But yeah, kind of sad, as I said, you know, because of that, you know, him ultimately probably one of the last wrestling attires he worn. But also kind of cool because, you know, I'm Hispanic personally, so it's kind of cool to see, you know, an attire from when he wore, from what he wore in Mexico. Sorry, and you know, seeing especially, you know, the luchadors over there really respecting him as well. As I said, it's kind of cool to see that. So yeah, let's move on to the next custom. So right here you have a custom Daniel Bryan Captain Planet, and this is just a complete fantasy figure. There's nothing that exactly this is linked to. The only thing that I can somewhat think to link this to is the fact that Daniel Bryan had that gimmick for a while that he was the savior of the planet, savior of Earth or something like that. The cool thing is Daniel Bryan in real life is a really big person on, like, you know, trying to save the planet and stuff. He's always out there trying to like plant trees and stuff. He's always trying to be like an activist and for things like that because, you know, he obviously wants an Earth for his kids to grow up on and, you know, make sure that, you know, his kids for his kids to have, you know, a place to live at and be sustainable at. But overall, yeah, this figure is really, really cool. Again, with the eBay thing, I'm not sure who sold it to me, and more than likely I'm not gonna be able to access it. If I can, I'll put it in the description of this video. Jesus fucking Christ, I'm sorry for stuttering so much. Anyways though, yeah, this guy's pretty cool. Only unfortunate thing with this guy is this is definitely one of those figures where it is a display piece only. Any type of articulating it does come with paint chimpages. That's why I actually put these red elbow pads on him, because originally he did not come with these, but because I tried to articulate the joint here, it actually chipped, and I didn't know what paint color this was exactly. I tried to like recreate it and I couldn't, so I just put these over just to have it, you know, where, you know, it's covered up and, you know, it looks like it fits in with the attire. So yeah, but moving on to the next figure. figure here, you have a Prince Devitt / Finn Balor, custom fit Pennywise, obviously. This figure is really, really dope. I've had this guy since, I think, my freshman year of high school. If not, around then I bought it, if I'm not completely incorrect. Really love this figure, though. I remember I was actually in school while I was auctioning on this guy on eBay. Like, I was literally, like, going on my phone, even though obviously you weren't supposed to be, trying to, like, win this dude because it was on an auction. Obviously, you got the little balloon here. And obviously, this is based off, like, the 2018 Pennywise. So, again, really cool. I don't think this is at all anything he's ever worn either. I think this is a complete fantasy attire, but really, really dope. I really love the You'll Float tube. And then the red hair as well really puts it together, especially with the big gaping mouth, obviously. That's supposed to be right here. And the little, obviously, the eye red line, much like the actual Pennywise has. So, yeah, and the balloon again. Only thing I wish, or I think that should be different, which I probably will do myself, is I think the knee pad should be white instead of black. Or at least should have some type of white and black mixed in with it. If not, white and red would be really cool as well. So I'll probably end up interchanging those eventually. But yeah, really love this figure. And let's move on to the next one. Obviously, you have a Prince Devitt / Finn Balor, another custom figure of him. Obviously, this one has a bit of a different torso than the other one. Explaining why that is, simply just Mattel, for some apparent reason, would sometimes decide to use the more accurate torso. So again, this torso over here, and sometimes it refer back to this torso. But yeah, not really sure why they did that. He's definitely more closer to this torso in real life. Dude is huge. I'll try and put an image up of him on the screen, but he's definitely huge. If anything, he's even gotten bigger nowadays. Anyways, though, with this guy, it's actually based on a real attire he did. Obviously, there's some chippages on the nose. As far as this figure goes, man, I've kind of messed it up over the years a little bit, as you can see here. And I definitely, at the time, probably overpaid for this. I know they say you can't put a price on art, but considering how much I paid for this, and considering from my memory of how much I paid for some of these other custom figures, I'm like, damn, I really did overpay for this dude. Was just really excited to be buying customs back in the days, and didn't really think about, what the time it took into it. Not throwing any shade at this guy. I mean, I paid for it and everything. Hopefully he doesn't get offended by me saying any of this shit. But yeah, I'll try and link him into his eBay in the description if I can find it. If not, sorry. Doubt people really want this guy anyways. Anyways, let's move on to the next figure. This custom is actually one I did myself, or custom / fix up. Essentially what I did for this figure is I grabbed one of the Devon Elite figures. I forget which series it was. It's the one with the red pants and the red camo pants. And basically I grabbed I think it's the Wrestling Company is what they're called. The Wrestling Figure Company, I think is what they're called. I grabbed the New Jack head off of one of those figures, popped it on here, and then I bought the tattoos off of a page on Instagram. I think they're called like wrestling decals or WWE decals, something like that. And grabbed those and, just put them on essentially. And before someone says anything, I know that this isn't a proper attire he ever wore. I just remember seeing a clip of him saying that Devon and Bubba Ray essentially robbed his gimmick. And, with the whole camo pants things and everything. So I figured I'd just take one of their Devon's figures and just turn it into New Jack, since they were kind of proportionally very much alike. And the t-shirt as well is actually from eBay seller. I don't think he sells anymore for some apparent reason. He's no longer on the app last time I checked, which was a while ago. But the funny thing is, obviously, it's Tupac. I'm a huge fan of Tupac, as I said probably earlier in this video. One of the funniest things, though, is he actually wore this for his debut in ECW. But the weird thing is he didn't have his t-shirt like this for the debut, it was more just like a regular t-shirt where the sleeves weren't all cut up like this. So kind of an odd thing, but I just threw this together. I know he never became ECW champion either before someone comments that. He was an ECW tag team champion, but he was never like the ECW champion. But for me, I just like having the ECW champion on him because he was really the most extreme fucking wrestler ever in ECW. I mean, the dude had matches where you would think he was actually beating the shit out of people. In some cases, he very much was. And nearly killed people. Right? But, you know, man, New Jack, rest in peace, along with Tupac, since that's a t-shirt he wearing. You know, really love this figure. If I ever do a pick fed, man, he's definitely going to be my ECW champion for a long, long fucking time. Because this man is nothing short but hardcore.
Oh, yeah, we had New Jack in the ring and yada, yada, yada. And he was always on something. Bitch! Anybody that ever knew me knew I snorted coke before my match. How in the fuck you think I was going up 30 feet and diving off shit? Because it was just, I just felt like doing it? Come on now.
So this figure is definitely more of a fix-up than anything. I just wanted to include it because I thought I did something a little bit creative with this guy. If you don't know, Sin Cara was a wrestler for WWE, and obviously, but basically there was two different people who played him. There was a guy named Hunico, then there was some other dude who I think was the original guy. But anyways, that dude got kicked out, and well, actually before he got kicked out, he was Hunico took over his role, but then it was revealed that he was not the real Sin Cara, and the real Sin Cara came back, and they had a match against each other. But then, you know, the real Sin Cara won supposedly, and revealed the other Sin Cara was Hunico, and then he was wrestling as Hunico for a while, and then the real Sin Cara wrestler actually got basically fucking fired from the WWE, and Hunico became the real Sin Cara some fucking how, some way. It is a very weird and complicated thing. But basically what I did is I think it's the Hunico basic figure. Essentially there was one of the guys who played as Sin Cara got a basic figure without a mask on. So what I did is I put the head onto here, and I got an actual removable mask from another basic figure of Sin Cara that would match with this tire, and sure enough, because of that, I can have a Lucha Libre face reveal, right? And I thought that was really cool. You know, in case you're having a match, you know, you want to make it where, you know, Sin Cara is going to lose, you know, but you don't want him to look like, you know, like he dog shit. You know, you got him, yeah, like much like a wrestling match, you know, you have him get the mask pulled off, you know, then roll him up and 1, 2, 3. But yeah, just thought this was a little creative fix-up, and I did this several years back, and I haven't seen anyone else do it, but then again, I don't watch too many wrestling action figure channels, so, I don't know, maybe I am the only person who has done this, or maybe I'm just living under a fucking rock. So, yeah. Obviously, we have my Elite WWE fix-up Boogeyman here. This is another extremely basic fix-up. I just got one of the Jakks Boogeymans, popped the head onto here, and I took the old accessories from the Boogeyman of the Jakks one as well, obviously, and just put them on to this figure, just because these are more of a material versus the other one was a bit more of a plastic-like material, and I just didn't like it. I don't know. I like this look a little bit better, and yeah, very basic, but, you know, I think it makes the figure look a whole lot better. Anyways, let's move on to the next one. So with this figure, all I really did was buy a custom head and put it onto here. It is permanently glued into here, but I'll link them in the description because they do make really, really good custom heads. I think they even have one of like the Weekend if you want to make a custom Weekend figure. You know, be my guest. But with this one, I essentially bought this figure because I love Raven, the character, and overall I just did not like the face she had originally came with. I don't know, I didn't really care for it, and maybe people were like, oh, well, her comic that was accurate to this comic, and in that comic she looked like that. I don't give a shit. She looked butt fucking ugly. Her face looked very, very ugly. And not to insult, women, but that she was not looking very pretty. So I got this prettier looking head scan off of, again, I forget the eBay channel's name, or the eBay seller's name on the app. I'll try and link it in the description. I'll put it up on screen as well. But yeah, I think really, really cool. I think it's a whole lot better than what it came with. Only bad part is it doesn't completely match skin tone with the hands. But honestly, if you really wanted to, what my fix is probably going to be is just painting her hands black. Because many of the time she wears gloves anyways. And again, it's already not comic accurate because I fucking put this new head on it. So I could give a fuck less. Anyways, let's move on to the next figure. Obviously, we have a bit of a fix-up of John Cena here, and essentially this figure is based off of, I forget which music video it is, but there was some rap music video I was watching one day, and John Cena randomly showed up, and I thought it'd be cool to make the figure based off that attire. And these jeans are actually from a knockoff figure, much like the Rey Mysterio, so that's why they're a bit oversized for him. And this is essentially what I dressed like in middle school, by the way, as well. And for a good portion of high school, I basically just wore oversized jeans and big ass t-shirts. I didn't wear hats though, but I did have a buzz cut, so. Anyways though, enough about me. This figure, I did kind of fuck up with this figure because I used a Macho Man body instead of just getting another John Cena figure without the jeans build, like mold. So yeah, it does have better articulation than probably some of the other John Cena figures. But overall, I'm still pretty happy with it. It has some memories tied to it since I've had it since like middle school. And yeah, man. Overall, pretty cool. Let's move on to the next figure though. Alright y'all, so for our next fix-up, we have a Memory Toys bear here. This is the, I think it's the Big Bad Toy Store exclusive. This is the polar bear. All I basically did was just grab one of those old Coca-Cola plushies and cut the scarves off and just put it onto here because I wanted myself a little Coca-Cola bear. Especially since I have a Pepsi Man figure, I kind of have them, duking it out. Him fucking up Pepsi Man because, I like Coca-Cola more. So, yeah. That's pretty much all I did with this one. Only unfortunate thing about this one, I broke the pinky toe. That's a little shitty, but yeah, I thought this was a pretty cool idea as soon as I pre-ordered this, which by the way took forever. But as soon as I pre-ordered it, I knew I wanted to do this, and I already had the idea in the back of my head. So yeah, just a quick little thing I did. Anyways, let's move on to the next figure. Alright y'all, so for our next figure, we have this custom 1/6 E-Girl Ghostface, obviously. The mask is from an eBay seller. I'll put his link, the link to his store in the description, and I'll obviously put a picture up of it on screen, if I can find it, of course. As far as everything else, for the body and the accessories and stuff, I just bought 1/6 scale figure accessories on eBay and stuff. I even bought the body. Pulgas, relax. My dog's in here trying to crash out, y'all. Anyways, one of the weirder things about this figure is the fact that the body that I bought is actually kind of a flesh tone to it, where it's very realistic. It's one of the more realistic body types, I will say, that I've seen of styling the figures, because it's actually flesh tone, has correct anatomy in every way, and again, it's like actually like has like a squishy tone to it, and it just kind of has like a metal skeleton almost inside of it, which is really weird because one of the downsides to this is to this style of body, from what I've seen, is for one, the black stains on the skin, and also when I was putting on, I think, these gloves, because I had to buy these gloves of these styles of hands, is when I was trying to put them on, the actual flesh here would come back and you would see like the metal exoskeleton underneath, which obviously isn't supposed to be like an exoskeleton to be for the figure. That's actually just for it to be able to articulate and stuff. But overall, this thing is pretty cool. I liked how it came out. Again, this is just a bunch of stuff I bought off eBay, just kind of put together. So You know, obviously you got some boots on, you got some, you know, black, I forget what the fuck this is even called, fishnet, skirt, you know, more fishnetting, and, you know, little freaking cloak, I guess. And you also have little gun here. Oh, well, nope, my gun is gone. Or is it over here? Nope, gun's over here, knife goes over here. So, you know, she has both of the, she's strapped up as far as the gun and the knife. And there goes the knife. But yeah, thought this was pretty cool. Let's move on to the next figure. So obviously you have my 5 custom NECA Jason figures here. You have Jason Takes Manhattan, you know, Jason Goes to Hell over here, the Savini Jason. Only thing I wish this figure came with, which was the pitchfork. Besides that, I mean, the figure's pretty much perfect. This Never Hike Alone figure, and this Jason X figure before he became Uber Jason in that movie. But essentially, if you're wondering why I have so many Jason figures, it's basically I want to have a figure for every single movie. I'm only missing about 2 or 3 now, which actually have NECA releases. Unfortunately, these 5 have never had official NECA releases. There was a figure back in the days of Jason Goes to Hell, but it's super rare and I never see it. And the few times I do, it gets sold before I can ever buy it in time. So it's just a bit unfortunate. But yeah, the Savini Jason one is obviously for the video game. I just thought it was really cool and I bought it. And if you've never seen the Never Hike Alone films, they are actually free on YouTube. They are fan-made films, but you wouldn't think they are. So if you never watched these films, you know, you could definitely be watching something much worse. I actually backed the second one, I think is what it is. Never Hike Alone in the... No, Never Hike Alone in the Snow, or what is it? Never Hike Alone. I forget what the last one is called. I think it's Never Hike Alone 2. That was a movie I actually backed because they had a whole Kickstarter and stuff. I'm still waiting for my stuff to get sent eventually by them because there was some bonus stuff with them. So whenever I get that stuff eventually, a video will be made about all that stuff that I get from them. But this guy I bought off of Etsy, in case you're wondering. I'll try and show the dude's Etsy store on screen. So that's where I got him. This dude I bought off of eBay. Same thing with this guy. And both of these guys, these two right here, I think were bought from the same eBay seller. So the dude just was making custom Jasons, if I'm not wrong. Same thing with these, everyone else obviously, but I'm not sure if they... in particular with the Etsy guy who made this one, he mostly makes 1/6 figures. I guess he just decided to randomly make some 1/12 scale figures, which obviously I'm cool with because that's mostly what I collect. I have a couple of 1/6 figures, but for the most part I prefer like that 1/12 scale because it's just much easier to match figures with each other, especially if you want to like have them fighting each other and stuff for stop motions or just posing them together and stuff. But yeah, all these figures are really cool. I really appreciate, or I shouldn't say really appreciate, really love all these guys. Really glad to have in my collection, especially, you know, making it where, you know, I have a full, almost complete, like, story line wise of, like, all the Jasons. So it's kind of cool to see all his different looks and stuff. Anyways, though, let's move on to the next figure. For one of the final figures, I didn't feel like taking them down, but it's this 1/6 El Santo figure. This eBay seller makes some excellent 1/6 pieces if you want any. This dude has a Pacquiao Customs. I think he made a Canelo not too long ago. I unfortunately didn't get to buy it, but he just made some spectacular pieces, especially Rocky pieces in particular. He seems to have a thing for like boxing in general, but this figure is super, super dope. I think my only complaint about it is he's a little hard to stand because of the boots, because they're just one large plastic mold. But overall, it's a really, really cool figure. I really like having him with the skeleton there. Because if you've ever watched El Santo, man, his movies, he had some ridiculous movies where he was fighting vampires, werewolves, all types of crazy shit. He was like super Mexico, I should say Mexico's like freaking Batman essentially. But yeah, really cool. Really glad to have this guy in my collection. Also really like the cape because it is actually wired. I'm not sure if you guys can really see it from over here, but it is really, really dope. And yeah, let's move on to the last my last slash final figure. Our last fix up slash custom. This guy really is not an action figure at all, but I thought it was a really cool thing that I kind of did with this. This was a video I tried to make a while back, but for whatever reason, the program I was using like completely just stopped working for me. But I basically got this guy from a 99-cent store. He's supposed to look like those little blow up air things that you kind of hit, you know, that's why he's able to, or he should be able to, you know, do the little rocking motion like that, because he's supposed to look like one of those little air, I forget what they're called, but little air guys that you can kind of hit and they come up and down and stuff, obviously. All right, they just kind of rock back and forth. And obviously this one's Ozzy Osbourne. Something Ozzy Osbourne super known for doing was biting a bat's head off. So I got one of those little, you know, Halloween rings, cut the bat's head off, glued it onto his hand, and then put some blood, obviously red. Looking back, I wish I would have used a different shade of red, because I have a much better blood paint now that's used in like miniatures and stuff. I think it's called Angel's Blood or something like that. I think that would make this look a whole lot better. But I still really like the way this thing came out. I think it's really cool. Really like Ozzy Osbourne, obviously, and I think this kind of goes along with you know, that top 5 video I did just not too long ago, which is being creative and having fun. You know, man, like this was something that I just thought of on the spot and thought it would be really easy, and it was kind of a creative thing to do, and I just really enjoyed doing it. Obviously, someone out there is gonna hate the fact I did this because you ruined the value. This thing wasn't worth shit anyways. It was at the fucking 99-cent store, my guy. If anything, I made it more valuable by doing this. But yeah, that's my last custom here, folks. So let me give you guys a little outro here. Alrighty, all that brings us to the end of the video. Just wanted to say I appreciate those who stuck around through this whole thing. I know this video is a bit longer than my usual videos, but then again, I yap a whole lot, so my videos are always kind of long. But appreciate those of you who stuck around, like I said. Appreciate all the new subscribers. Appreciate the people who've liked, you know, and the one person who commented on my last video. Thank you, homie. I don't get too many comments on my videos, so it's really cool to actually see people, you know, leaving comments and stuff. If there's a particular custom in my collection that you guys really like, you know, let me know in the comments. Maybe let me know which one you like the most, and maybe if there's some customs you guys think I should maybe try and work on myself, or maybe try and search out to buy one of them. Yeah, you guys, hopefully you guys are doing good, having a good morning, a good, you know, good night, a good afternoon, whatever it be where you at. And you know, hopefully you guys are doing well. I know things aren't exactly always perfect in the world, especially you know, in current day, unfortunately. But you know, things could always be worse, as they say. And you know, it's always good to remember that, you know, there's other people who have gone through what you've gone through, and they got through it. So just remember that. But anyways, though, I'll catch y'all later. Appreciate y'all. See you soon.